430,000 years ago, a stranger stood close enough to smell your ancestor's breath, close enough to see his eyes. Then he raised his arm, and he swung. Twice. And for the first time in the long story of your kind, one human being had decided that another human being should die. You will never know his name or what he did to deserve it. But you can still see the wound. It survived, sealed in stone at the bottom of a pit in northern Spain, for longer than your species has existed. This is the oldest murder ever found. And the strangest part is not how he died. It is what happened to his body afterward. So go down there, into the dark, and look. Beneath the hills of Atapuerca, in the north of Spain, there is a cave. Deep inside it, past the last of the light, there is a hole in the floor. A vertical shaft, 13 meters straight down. The researchers who found what lies at the bottom gave it a plain name. Sima de los Huesos, the pit of bones. They called it that for a reason. Down there, packed into the rock, lie the remains of at least 28 human beings. 28 bodies, from a world 400,000 years gone. How do 28 people end up at the bottom of one dark shaft, in a place with no other way in and no other way out? Animals did not drag them there. So what did? Hold that question. You are going to need it. The people in that pit were not exactly like you. Scientists call them Homo heidelbergensis, an older kind of human, thick-boned, heavy-browed, powerful. Their skulls already carry the first faint signatures of what would one day become the Neanderthals. But they were human enough to grieve, human enough, it turns out, to kill. And one of them became something no one had ever seen. Evidence. For more than 20 years, a team led by the Spanish paleontologist Juan Luis Arzuaga lifted fragments of bone from that pit, piece by piece, and slowly, out of 52 separate pieces, one skull came back together. They gave it a flat label, Cranium 17. When it was whole again, they saw the face. And above the left eye, they saw the holes. 2 of them, side by side, punched clean through the front of the skull. A broken skull, on its own, tells you almost nothing. Bones break in a fall. A single hole could be an accident. So how do you tell an accident from a murder when the only witness has been dead for 4,000 centuries? You do exactly what a modern detective would do. A researcher named Nohemi Sala turned Cranium 17 into a cold case. Not an archaeological dig this time. A forensic investigation. Her team measured the shape of each wound, the angle, the depth, the direction the force had traveled as it broke through the bone. And the skull gave up its secret. The 2 holes were not a single event. They were 2 separate blows, moments apart. And here is the detail that changes everything. The 2 wounds pointed in slightly different directions, yet they matched each other almost perfectly in shape. The same object, the same weapon, striking twice. A fall does not hit you in the same place twice, with the same object, on 2 different lines. A rock coming loose does not aim, but a person standing in front of you, swinging something in their hand, can. And the wounds were on the front of the skull, face to face. Whoever did this was looking straight at him. There was no sign of healing. The man did not survive long enough for the bone to even begin to close. Either blow on its own would likely have killed him. So why swing a second time? Sala and her colleagues drew the only conclusion the bone allowed. 2 lethal blows, face to face, point to a single thing: intent. Someone wanted this man dead and made certain of it. They published it in 2015 in the journal PLOS 1, Lethal Interpersonal Violence in the Middle Pleistocene. In plain words, the earliest murder anyone has ever been able to prove, 430,000 years old. But now, remember your question. How did 28 bodies reach the bottom of a sealed shaft? Because Cranium 17 did not fall. His injuries do not fit a fall. He was already dead when he reached the pit, which means someone carried him there, up the slope, through the black of the cave, to the mouth of that drop, and let him go. Do you see what that means? The same species that produced a killer also produced whoever carried the body. This is why many researchers, our Swaga among them, believe the pit of bones is not only a crime scene. They believe it may be the oldest cemetery on Earth. And there is one more clue. Across all those years of digging, the excavators found a single stone tool, a hand axe of beautiful red quartzite, a stone that does not come from that cave. They nicknamed it Excalibur. The only object in the entire pit, left among the dead. Many who study it believe it was placed there on purpose, an offering for the dead, 400,000 years before any temple or scripture, before language as you know it, before farming, before cities. A creature that was not quite you stood at the edge of a pit, holding someone it had lost, and instead of walking away, it carried that body into the deep and left something precious behind. Grief and violence. In the same pit, from the same kind of hands. Isn't that the most human thing you have ever heard? The archaeologist Ignacio Martinez has studied these people down to the tiny bones inside their ears. What he found suggests they could hear the fine frequencies of human speech, that they may well have talked to one another. If that is true, the story in this pit is not just bone against bone. It is a social story, a victim, a killer, and mourners. Every one of them. Human. You would like to believe that violence is a stain the modern world added to a gentler past. Cranium 17 says otherwise. The first murder is not a modern crime. It is one of the oldest human acts ever recorded in the body of its victim. But look again, because the same pit answers back. It also holds the proof that his people came for him, that they did not leave him where he fell. So the next time you hear that human beings are, deep down, just violent animals wearing clothes, remember the pit of bones. It tells a harder story, that from the very beginning, your kind carried both things at once, the hand that swings the weapon and the hands that carry the body home. 430,000 years ago, a stranger stood close enough to smell your ancestor's breath. And when it was over, someone else stood at the edge of the dark, holding what was left of him, and decided he would not be left behind. Both of them were human, and both of them are still, quietly, inside you.